welcome. Who are you, and can you tell me a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, so my name is Brian McGlynn, and I'm COO of Davra Networks.
Great. So, what are the customers? Who are your customers, and what vertical markets are you selling into?
So, who are our customers? Our customer is very specifically system integrators and network value-added resellers. So we sell direct. We don't sell directly to end customers. We sell through system integrators and VARs.
So a network added value reseller, what does that mean exactly, and what do they do?
Yeah, so network integrators or system integrators, so these are companies, they're throughout the US, throughout Europe. They have local knowledge, specific customers in their region. So in the Midwest, there'd be lots of system integrators, very well known there, the likes of NetTech Corp. So they would build traditional enterprise networks.
Okay.
So over the last 10, 20 years, the likes of these network integrators would be building out branch networks, MPLS networks, data centers. But now they're struggling and they need to move into the IoT space.
Okay.
So we, as a data IoT platform, are helping those system integrators and VARs access this market.
Now, what would be the difference between a system integrator and a VAR, for example?
They're very similar, but really I think it's classified as system integrators get a little bit more hands-on.
Okay, that makes sense.
They are very similar though.
Now, so your customers are, you're not selling directly to the customers. Do you have ever any direct relationship with the end customer or not?
Yeah, from a technical point of view, we would. Now, the SI or system integrator would always be the lead. So they know the customer very well. They know the IT directors were brought in as part of an overall solution. So you don't just buy Davra's Rubin platform, you also have hardware that's associated with the solution or service. So the system integrator fronts everything, and we're a piece of the overall solution or service that's delivered to the end customer.
No, that's interesting. Now, well, can you give any estimates in terms of the size of that piece, like a network platform? I mean, it is a network platform. Is that what you would classify your product as?
Really an IoT platform.
Okay, an IoT platform,
yeah.
Sorry. So what percentage would that be of the overall, you think? I know it probably runs over time, but just roughly speaking, if you squinted your eyes, what would be the percentage?
In terms of?
In terms of overall, I guess, investment, that a customer would end up making through the, obviously it's through the system integrator or VAR, but.
It really depends. And when we talk about verticals and solutions, it depends on the vertical, the solution and the service.
Okay.
So there is a lot of hardware involved in some, less it's more just about data and dumb sensors. So it does, I think later on in this interview we talk about different vertical solutions.
Sure.
So it varies from 30% up to 70%.
Okay, well that's interesting.
Yeah.
So that gives us a kind of a little bit of a range then. So so it's a IoT platform. Describe what is an IoT platform. What is the product?
Yeah, I suppose a good way to start kind of describing an IoT platform, and there's more and more of these coming out every month, as a lot of you guys know. Probably, if you benchmark against what platforms you may have heard of, today I'd say one of the most well-known IoT platforms would be Jasper. Okay. So Jasper Wireless, Jasper Technologies. They've renamed to Jasper Technologies, based just here in Mountain View. They've been going since 2006. They've raised over 200 million in VC, and they're built to be the first IoT billion-dollar company, the first IoT platform company to IPO.
Right.
So really, they're leading the way in this market. So Davra, we're a little bit later to the game. We started in 2011, building our IoT platform. So where Jasper, there's also the likes of Xada and ThingWorks and stuff. Where Jasper focus on is they have their platform. They sell it into the service providers. So same
thing as you then.
Yeah, very similar to us. There's differences obviously. They do a lot on billing, whereas we don't do anything on billing. But their go-to-market is through service providers. So they provide in their IoT platform for service providers to build out solutions and services. Okay. So what our platform is targeted at, as I said earlier in the interview, is system integrators and VARs. So I suppose I didn't really answer your question. So what our platform does is it allows the system integrators to offer these services, and that specifically is we allow what's called, slightly technical, we allow zero-touch deployment. So get this solution out in the field. So get these sensors out, get these what we call IoT gateways out in the field, and collect all this data. So if we're talking IoT, we're really talking a lot about data. So networks and data. Okay. So we at the edge, we collect all this data in what's called a fog layer. I won't go into too much into that. Okay. We collect all this data talking to different, say, SCADA systems, telematics systems, J1939 system, collect it at the edge, do first order analytics at the edge. Oh. So not all the data, you know, this is common, so not all the data is going up into the cloud. So we do a first order analytics at the edge, then we collect all the data, store it efficient, all this big data stuff we use, you know, the Cassandra database. I won't go into the technical details, but we store it efficiently, read fast, write fast. Then we take it up another level and we make sense of that data. So we build applications specific to the use case that we're involved. So we make it very easy for system integrators to turn around a solution, whether it be for connected farming like smart tractors or distributed automation in utilities, transportation, connected roadways. So we make the data available and we have tools, drag and drop applications just to build a very customized solution for the customer.
Gotcha,
so
gotcha.
That's what we do.
I understand. Now, where does the system integrator come in? And so they've got your IoT platform, and then where do they come in, and what's their value add then?
Yeah, well, the system integrator, they have the customers. You know, they're in this field. They're local.
They're very specific to the verticals.
Not really. It depends. It does depend. So some resellers will want to focus on transportation. So some resellers will be very focused on utilities. But there's a lot of crossover on these verticals. So I'll give you an example. So if you're talking to a large utilities company and you want to connect their distributed edge, these utility companies, they also have large fleets of trucks. Right. So you know, you're the system integrator for this large utilities company. You're connecting up their edge distribution network. Then also you can connect up their transportation network. Right. So there is crossover. So a lot of the integrators, they will look at multiple IoT verticals.
Okay. And so then you're saying they understand, they have the customer, and therefore they understand their network, they understand how they operate, and then they integrate it within that environment. I mean,
well, yeah. So that's true. They also have the trust of the customer. They know them very well. They know the engineers in there. Right. They know how they operate. But then what they also do is they front the solution. So when I talk about a solution, so you have this IoT platform, but also there's the gateway. So who do you get the gateway off? Do you get the gateway off the likes of Cisco systems? Do you get the gateway off BB Electronics? Whoever these get an Intel variant of a gateway. So who provides the gateway? Okay. So who provides the sensors underneath? So if you're talking about who provides the telematics sensors, who provides those? So in a solution, the system integrator could be working with 5 different companies in the background to pull together sensors, gateway, platform. Who's the service provider? So are they going to use AT&T? Are they going to go with AT&T? Are they going to go with Verizon, 4G, 3G? So what's the after sales service? Is it hosted on-prem? Is it hosted in the company's data center? Is it hosted on AWS? Is it hosted on the system integrator's private cloud? Exactly. So these are all the things that they look after, and just, you know, all these other pieces the customer doesn't really see. Right. You know, so that's really what the and there's one price, there's one PO, one SKU, one support contract. Right. So that's what the SI offers.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so let's swing it back to your company, and how do you guys make money then? What is the business model? What do you sell exactly? Yeah, so as I said, we sell this platform that enables the SIs to bring these solutions to market. So how we make money is it's a direct once-off license fee. Oh. And one time only. There's a very specific reason for that, and also there's a 20% maintenance charge. So it's a traditional. Per year, the maintenance. It's a year. Yeah, okay. It's a year, and that's 18%. That you charge to the system integrator. We charge to the system integrator, and they build it into their costs. Sure. So it's a once-off cost. Now we don't do SaaS. We don't do any kind of as a service model, because what we do is we allow the integrator to do that. Right.
So the integrator, a lot of the times the integrator will bundle this all up and he'll decide, okay, if this customer wants to go with a SaaS model, and it's up to him. So we keep it very simple, and it works very well with the system integrators. So although it sounds like, oh, it's very archaic, very old model, and why haven't you gone service? But that's it, and it works very well because
they like it.
It goes through the SIs, and really the SI, if you want to build scale in your business, obviously SPs is one angle, but there's SIs, you know, the likes of, you know, Intels or the Ciscos of this world, they have, you know, in Ireland, where I'm from, in Europe, very small country, 5 million people, there's over, for example, Cisco have over 20 SIs in Ireland. Ireland's tiny. So that's the volume. So if you're accessing these SIs, you can really get scale for your platform.
And then they decide essentially on the business model that they present to the customer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the customer, and what are the costs then? If we were to have a checklist, what are the costs that the customer, they're watching the video right now, and what do they need to think about? What are their costs going into a project, going into a new, let's say, greenfield connected project in some way or form? What are their costs?
Yeah, well, I suppose maybe the best way to answer that is to try and take a worked example, and maybe if you're saying costs, you really have to build in, like, what are they going to get out of it, really? Like, so I think they're very much related if you're talking about costs. I think I was talking to you earlier about the connected school bus.
Yes, we're
working on with various customers throughout the US. It's very much a US market specific, US and Canada.
So who's the customer for the connected school bus then?
Really, it's the school districts, so the independent school districts. So we're here, obviously, Pleasanton. So there's a Pleasanton independent school districts, which encompasses probably about 5 or 6, you know, schools. So you're selling to the district, and the district, so the district, you're selling to the district, and the IT director is
within the district.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Now what? Okay, so if we're using the district as an example, what are they budgeting for, and what are the costs? What are their costs going to be?
Yeah, well, I think it really starts at the business case level, and then you look at the costs. So what the schools are trying to do is really these IT directors, and I think when you're talking about, you know, IoT and having to talk to the business people, really I think it's the likes of the IT directors and the CEOs. They need to move over to the business. Do you know what I mean? Like, more talking to the IT directors, CIOs, and those guys coming up to board level and talking about this, as opposed to, you know, the accountants and the business people, and then the IT person being outside. Now with IoT and technology being so important, they need to be in the boardroom as well. So, and that's.
But are they leading the charge? You're implying that the IT folks are actually leading the charge versus the business folks.
But they're moving towards the business because they see that technology is so important for the business. So now it's not just, there's techie stuff over here, and this is where it really happens. You really need to bring the technical people into the business side of things. So for in these independent school districts, the IT directors are leading innovation and technology in these schools. So what they're looking at, okay, most of these schools are connected very well. You know, they have Chromebooks everywhere, they've iPads, they've Wi-Fi everywhere.
Certainly in this area.
Yeah, true. So what they're looking at is, okay, so what else can we connect up our school buses? And they're looking for reasons. Well, why should we, like Wi-Fi? So they're coming up with concepts of students learn anywhere, on the way to school, on the way home from school, you're still learning. So a school bus can be a place of learning. So this model is coming up now, and IT directors are leading the charge in this. So they're looking at hooking the buses up, so the kids, BYOD, bring your own devices, they have the Chromebooks anyway, so they come onto the buses, they can directly,
phones,
exactly, but they can connect up directly into the school's IT infrastructure. So they're talking, I don't know if the US has a Moodle system for homework, so they can do their homework, they can do their reading, they can check up on the latest news within the school. So that's a very strong business case for connecting up school buses. Also within school districts, they're talking about facility management. So if they can bus more students to this school, maybe they won't have to open up another school over here. And they're justifying it because these buses, although they're spending more time on the school buses, it's productive time. They're still learning inside the bus. So when we started this about 2 years ago, it was a very nice use case, but also they had to justify the cost, as you said.
Right.
So yes, students learn, that's brilliant, and there's budget from federal for this.
So that's how they're justifying the cost. Well, there's not so much an ROI in terms of fiscal ROI, but there's more of just a value ROI.
Well, if you're saving on facility management as well, there is
I guess that's true.
Financial.
Right. You mean not having to open a new school?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but also what the IT directors are trying to do is, okay, so if we've connected this bus, well, what else can we do? You know, okay, they're doing their homework, that's brilliant, but is there anything else we can do? Can we look at safety on the buses? Can we ensure the buses aren't going over speed limits? Simple things like that. Can we ensure that there's nothing wrong with the school engine? You know, so looking at, as we said, sensors, telematics inside buses, collecting all that sort of information, doing location services for the mammies at home, video cameras, securities, we've been talking gunshot detection. You know, I know you don't need to like talking about that, but the reality. Right. So there's lot of safety things for the parents.
Okay.
So in some districts in Texas, like these school kids are on the buses for over an hour. Wow. So you know, connecting, it has a lot of value. So yeah, I think you're right in what you're saying about the costs. It's not purely financial, although it is with facilities management, but there is other kind of benefits.
Education and safety. I
exactly,
mean, or extending the education.
Yeah, education, safety.
And safety.
Yeah.
Wow. No, I like that. Okay, so now that's the benefits. Now, if we look at that scenario, what would be the cost that they're going to have to incur for that? Then? Is it per school bus basis, or what's the business model that they come up against?
Well, again, it depends on how the SI wants to sell it to them. Okay. But if I look at the different pieces that is required in current connected school buses that we're doing today, so you start at the very bottom level, there's sensors involved. Okay, so talking money, these sensor boxes connect you directly to the engine of a bus. So you get your speed, you get your idling, you get any faults on the engine. So those boxes cost roughly $100 a bus. Okay, so that's not much now. The next level above that is you need your gateway to connect you to the outside world. So you need the 4G connection, Wi-Fi connection. So that's the hardware inside the bus. Then the next level, you obviously need your SIM cards. So you need an AT&T, Verizon. So you have your data plan as well there. So there's costs there. Okay. Then moving up another level, you need Air Platform.
To take sensor data?
To make sure the network's always available. If the backhaul is gone, or 4G, nothing's coming out of the bus anyway. So you need to manage the network and you need to manage the data.
Okay.
And then you need the ongoing service and support from the SI as well. The only other element you need is an electrical fitter who actually goes into this asset, whether it be a bus, an oil rig, and he needs to physically kit it out.
Yeah.
He needs to, you know, get out his screwdriver and fit it in. That's a pretty important piece of it as well. Yeah. It's a once-off piece of work, but it's very important as well. So they're all the elements, and then you add them up, and that's the price. And how it's been sold as a service per bus or whatever, that's really up to the integrator. But yeah.
No, just out of curiosity, do you have a rough range of what a per bus would be in terms of the cost, or? Are we talking $1,000 a bus, $10,000 a bus?
Is this in terms of a once-off or a?
Well, the upfront cost. I mean, yeah.
The upfront per bus.
No, just wondering, just to put things in perspective for the people watching the video.
So if you're doing per bus per month.
Or per bus up front, and then you know, I'm just wondering, just a scale. What's the scale of investment here that we're talking about?
Yeah, I think if you go on a per bus per month, you'd be looking at in ranges, depending on the services, because there's different services that you can or cannot. You're looking at ranges from $80, maybe to 130.
Oh, well, that's pretty narrow. Okay, that's a pretty good. That's pretty
so you're talking about different data levels of service.
All right.
That'd be on a 5-year contract, usually 5-year contract per month. But a lot of times as well with these
5-year contract, okay. Yeah. And that's generally then the business model in this particular case. The SI would approach us on a per bus per month.
Yeah, that's specifically for transportation and connected school buses, and it's pretty. You know, there's a lot of the likes of Fleetmatics who would be in connected transportation, but they'd be more looking at kind of fleets, and they would be in the range of 40 to 60 per month per per vehicle. So this connected school bus is a lot more advanced.
Yeah, but if you take, you know, the number of trips per month, let's say it's 4 weeks times, you know, times 5, you have 20 trips times 2 there and back, you know, there's 40 trips, up to an hour per trip. I mean, you know, there's 40 hours of learning and safety and being able to, so it's actually, and divide that, amortize it over the number of students that are in the bus. I don't know, that sounds like a pretty good deal to me.